I never thought a random message online could change the entire direction of my life. But sometimes the smallest coincidences unravel into the biggest stories. And that's exactly what happened to me. It started in the most ordinary way imaginable. Late one night, unable to sleep, I found myself scrolling through a forum where people shared thought about music, books, and all sorts of nonsense. My eyes landed on a post about a band I had loved as a teenager, but had long since forgotten about. Nostalgia hit me so hard that I clicked into the thread and typed out a quick comment. That's when she replied. Her username was something quirky, playful, almost childish, but her words struck me as sharp and thoughtful. She disagreed with my take, but in a way that felt less like confrontation and more like banter. That back and forth turned into a direct message, and before I realized what was happening, we were talking about everything from our favorite albums to our worst heartbreaks. Days turned into weeks, and the conversation never slowed. We fell into that easy rhythm where you can wake up to a message, carry on all day, and then fall asleep mid-sentence, only to pick it up again in the morning without missing a beat. It felt electric, like discovering a new best friend who also somehow understood the hidden corners of your soul. The strange part was that she lived in the same city as me. Not just the same city, but the same neighborhood. At first, it was a joke. What if we bumped into each other at the grocery store? But then it started feeling uncanny. She described a little coffee shop around the corner from my apartment where she liked to read on Sundays. That was my place. She mentioned a bookstore where she'd gotten lost for hours. I knew exactly which aisle she was talking about. It was like we'd been circling each other for years, orbiting without colliding. And then came the strangest revelation of all. One night, while reminiscing about embarrassing moments, she told me about attending a small house party a few months back. The description of the apartment, the friend who hosted, the awkward dancing, the slightly too loud speakers. It all clicked in my mind. I had been there. Same night, same party, same circle of people. And yet I had no memory of her, and she had no memory of me. We had been in the same room, just a few feet apart, and never crossed paths. That realization knocked the air out of me. How could two people spend hours talking online, uncovering layer after layer of shared experiences and mutual quirks, only to discover that they had already once existed in the same physical space, completely invisible to one another? It felt almost cosmic, like the universe had set us up for a slow burn reveal. She laughed about it first, teased me for being unobservant, but underneath the jokes, I could feel the same shock I was experiencing. We replayed that night in obsessive detail, trying to figure out how we could have possibly missed each other. She had been standing near the kitchen, chatting with the host about some upcoming event. I had been on the balcony, half drunk, talking with a co-worker. She remembered someone spilling a drink on the carpet. I remembered helping clean it up. She remembered someone playing a song too loudly. I remember complaining about it. Our nights had overlapped like two transparencies placed on top of each other, perfectly aligned but with the central figures missing. We were both there, but not for each other. After that, the online connection took on a new intensity. It was no longer just fun banter or casual distraction. There was an urgency to it, as if we'd been given a second chance not to miss what we had overlooked before. We decided to meet in person, and when we did, it was both everything I had hoped for and nothing I could have expected. She looked different than I imagined, but also exactly right. Like the missing piece of a puzzle I hadn't realized I was building. The first hug was awkward, almost comical, but the second was natural. And by the third time we met, we were moving through the world together, as though we had been doing it for years. But here's where the story takes its turns, the twists that make it more than a sweet coincidence. Because when two people collide like that, when the universe seems to demand they finally see each other, there's often a shadow lurking in the background, waiting to complicate everything. For us, that shadow was the fact that she had not entirely closed a chapter of her past. She had an ex-boyfriend who was still hanging around the edges of her life. A man she described as complicated, intense, and difficult to completely sever ties with. At first, I didn't mind. Everyone has history. But the more I learned, the clearer it became that this wasn't just history. It was unfinished business. He had been at that same party too. The one where she and I failed to notice each other. He had been the one playing the music too loudly. The one she had argued with in the kitchen. The one who stormed out after their fight. Suddenly, the coincidences started stacking in uncomfortable ways. I wrestled with that knowledge, torn between jealousy and disbelief. Had the universe really placed me in the same room as not only the woman who would change my life, but also the ghost of her unresolved past? It seemed too strange to be real. And yet it was. She assured me she was done with him, that what they had was toxic, broken beyond repair. She wanted something new, something honest, and she believed that was with me. I wanted to believe her, and for a while I did. We became inseparable, spending long evenings walking through the city, mornings lingering over coffee, afternoons getting lost in bookstores together. It felt like a story we would one day tell our children. How we met online, how we missed each other in real life, how fate gave us a second chance. But the shadow didn't vanish. Every so often, he reappeared in small ways. Texts she ignored, calls she declined, stories that slipped into conversation. I tried to brush it off, but part of me felt haunted by the idea that he had been standing just a few feet from me that night, invisible but present, like a rival I hadn't even realized existed. And yet, through all of it, our bond grew stronger. We learned to navigate the tension, to laugh at the absurdity of our misencounter, to embrace the strangeness of how we had come together. There were fights, sure, but also apologies, reconciliations, and the kind of raw honesty that made me feel like we were building something real, something lasting. Looking back now, years later, I still can't explain the strange mix of fate and chance that brought us together. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had walked into the kitchen that night instead of standing on the balcony, if I had noticed her laugh, her eyes, her presence. Would we have started then, sooner, or would it have been the wrong time entirely? Maybe we needed the distance, the silence, the missed opportunity, so that when we finally collided online, it would feel inevitable. Maybe the universe doesn't give us what we want when we want it, but instead waits until we're ready to see what's been right in front of us all along. What I know is this. The randomness of a late-night comment on Forgotten Band led me to the person who became my anchor, my compass, my partner in the mess of life. We built something out of that coincidence. Something that survived jealousy, shadows of the past, and the haunting knowledge that we once stood in the same room and failed to see each other. Now, every time we walk into a crowded place, we joke about scanning the room carefully, just in case the universe is playing tricks on us again. But in truth, I know I'll never miss her again. Not now, not ever.